And welcome back to the NWA 1983 project. I'm your host, Lex G, and with me, as always, is Matt Riley. How you doing tonight, Matt?
Soupity duper.
All right. So, guys, I know you've been listening to every other podcast in the world when they say, hey, we have a lot to cover, but we do have a lot to cover. WrestleMania was just this past weekend, and I think overall, when it comes down to WrestleMania, not bad. But we'll get into that in more detail, and we'll get into the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania as well. But first, I watched some interesting stuff this week along with WrestleMania. So I just want to go over some of the oddities and some of the treasures I found throughout the internet. In watching Georgia Championship Wrestling, I stumbled upon a Buzz Sawyer-Roddy Piper feud that culminated in a dog collar match. In these episodes, we see two sets of vignettes, one with Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer training, and he's taking the chain and he's running through the woods and he's smashing cinder blocks with the chain and doing kinds of crazy shit, eating raw eggs and such.
Yeah.
And then the second part is Roddy Piper training. Now, he's also running through the wilderness with whipped up clothes and with his dog chain around his neck. And then he cuts a promo and goes through the swamp. He comes out of the water. Overall shenanigans and tomfoolery. He cuts a promo in front of a truck, gets the chain out from the trunk, pulls a chihuahua out of the back of a truck that says Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer on it, on a little shirt on the chihuahua, which is insane. He breaks a bottle over his head, which is nice to see. And then at the end of the vignette, he fucking hangs himself.
Yeah.
His shirt clearly says Buzz Sawyer, R.I.P. on it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you built up a feud, because I want to go down the Omni, purchase a ticket to watch that match. Matt, I know you saw a clip of that. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was great, and I guess it's one of those things that, using the vignette to introduce wrestlers and to help elevate feuds is a good way to do it. Now we just get guys who point at each other, same typical, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. This was taking it to the next level, and they really do need to do more of this. It seems ridiculous, but I read a article and was talking about how you never say you're going to kill somebody or do something unrealistic, but you just say that you're going to destroy them, beat them, break them. People are more likely to believe that. And if they believe it, they're going to come to our watch and see it. So if he came out there and said he's going to beat you over the head with a chain, and then he takes the chain and destroys a bunch of cinder blocks, well, that sells that the chain is legit. It's not fake. It's a real chain, and it was a good way to sell the feud. So likewise, great way to sell the matchup and sell tickets.
Yeah, that was fantastic. The thing about watching episodes of Georgia Championship Wrestling, whether it be on YouTube or otherwise, is that you see all this great build up for these matches, and then you never see the matches because I don't think they tape from the Omni all that often. So we can't see the blow off to some of these matches, and eventually, they just go on to the next feud. The next episode happens. It's like, oh yeah. You had to see what happened at the Omni last week. It was amazing, and then you never see these shows because it was the times back then. That's the way they did things back then, and you never saw these for the most part. Saw those things on television all that often. Overall, just amazing stuff all around. I suggest everyone go back, pick a promotion, no matter what time frame it is, and just watch a couple hours of it, and kind of expand your wrestling base, your wrestling knowledge, and your taste, because you may not like what's going on today, and that's okay, and that's fine. But there's wrestling out there that you will enjoy. Would it be your local independent wrestling, or watching on YouTube Florida Championship Wrestling, or Georgia Championship Wrestling, or Portland, or what have you? These are all available to you like they never had been before. Watch Kevin Sullivan slap the shit out of a woman. That was awesome.
Oh, jeez.
So again, they're doing the Kevin Sullivan and Blackjack Mulligan, Dusty Rhodes kind of feud there with Kevin Sullivan's Army of Darkness, and they're doing all kinds of crazy shit. And then they have this woman come out and present Kendall Windham with the Wrestler of the Month award. And then Buddy Rose comes out and gets in Kendall's face, and they go off and fight. And then Blackjack comes out, and then I believe it's Mark Lewin, or maybe it was Bob Roop and Kevin Sullivan come out and attack Blackjack Mulligan. And then the woman tries to grab Kevin Sullivan, and Sullivan turns around and slaps the shit out of her, like fucking hard.
Oh, jeez.
Like legit. We find out later that that was Luna Vachon that he slapped. This is pre-shaved head, pre-tattooed on the face, Luna Vachon.
Yeah.
And then the gimmick is that he slapped her so hard, she went nuts and actually joined him and became Luna Vachon. So there you go.
Nice.
In addition, Barbara Cleary from Championship Wrestling for Florida, I think I have a retroactive crush on her.
Oh, no.
I mean, she's clearly about 90 years old now, but fucking, if I was 6 or 7 years old in the fucking 80s, there you go. Her and Elizabeth Shue. I always had a thing for Elizabeth Shue. She's fucking hot. Also saw a promo with Jerry the King Lawler dressed up as Superman, and he's cutting a promo on Batman, who is Adam West. So apparently, Adam West was in Memphis Wrestling doing kinds of shenanigans and tomfoolery with Jerry Lawler. So I don't know if they had a match or some other stuff, but I gotta look into that. But that was really neat to see. Crazy. That's one way to use celebrity involvement.
Yeah.
It's funny because the WWE would get killed if they did something like that, and they have been. But Memphis is all right. It's Memphis.
Right.
So lots of cool stuff. Again, I do recommend everyone to watch something that they're not familiar with. And watching Georgia Championship Wrestling, number one, I didn't know how amazing Ole Anderson is as a babyface.
Really?
He's fucking awesome. I mean, he was clearly booking and in charge of the company. He may own a piece of it at that point as well. And he's clearly positioned himself as the number one babyface. And it worked because he's such a great talker. So eventually he does turn heel. And it's funny because Arn Anderson's debut was in the same time period. And Arn Anderson came in as the babyface as well as Ole's cousin. So it's just weird that, you see a narrative, but unless you actually watch every single episode of a wrestling show, you don't have 100% understanding.
Yeah.
So those are really cool to see. And again, I recommend everyone seek out this footage on YouTube or wherever else you get your wrestling footage, because it's sweet. That was Georgia Championship Wrestling from 1983, the summer of 1980. Oh, there you go. So WrestleMania, everyone has their opinions, everyone has their thoughts about WrestleMania. For me, and watching the entire show, I thought it was average. There's nothing on there that was offensive. It was okay. Nothing too crazy. Toned down celebrity involvement, which is nice to see. And we'll go over the card here. First, and this was in the pre-show match, we had Neville, who defeated Austin Aries. And this was the match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Again, I think this was probably the match of the night, at least one of them. These guys did such a great job. Unfortunately, they probably did not get the crowd reaction they probably wanted. Anytime you watch wrestling in the daytime, it's off-putting a little bit. It just looks weird from a presentation standpoint. But the match was really good, and Neville is most likely the ugliest person on the face of the earth.
Yes.
He's gross looking. I'm sorry. I think he's a great wrestler, great performer, but fuck, dude. It's fucking gross.
The nose, the eyes, the mouth, the ears.
There's nothing handsome about the man. I'm sorry.
Oh. He makes do.
Yeah. Next up in the pre-show match, we had Mojo Rawley winning the 33-man Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. He eliminated Jinder Mahal last, who is fucking ginormous. But we saw an appearance by your man, Rob Gronkowski.
Yes.
Who jumped the barricade, and the female security guard tried to stop him, and they weren't having that. But he did get in the ring, and he did a little bit in there, did a nice little shoulder tackle, and that was cool to see. He may eventually want to be a wrestler, but he does have to fucking gain some weight because in comparison to everyone else, he looks very, very thin.
Oh, yeah, he's athletic, but he's not bulked up for the show.
Yeah.
He works out for speed, not for weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times I see wrestlers do that, and it's like, oh, that guy, that guy is jacked and enormous, but comparatively, they're not filled out.
Right. Very skinny legs on this man.
Yeah, more leg days, buddy.
Yeah. But great use of celebrity involvement here, especially with Mojo Rawley being his boy. So that was really, really cool to see. Next up, we had your favorite wrestler, Dean Ambrose, who defeated Baron Corbin.
How much is my favorite wrestler? I forgot he was on WrestleMania.
Jesus.
I forgot all about that. I was like, oh, yeah.
I have not been impressed with Baron Corbin, although I'm most likely in the minority on that. I don't get him. I don't get it. So what are you gonna do?
He's just kind of old school bad guy. Just
Yeah, just there's nothing. There's no meat and potatoes with them. There's nothing to chew on there. This thing. I'm not saying they can't be down the road, and I don't hate them like I hate Sheamus, but I was like, it's not interested. Overall, the match was okay. Dean Ambrose defending the Intercontinental Championship on the pre-show match. Again, anyone who holds those belts are going to be chucked down the card. Nowhere near a main event. Up next, we had AJ Styles, who defeated Shane McMahon. Shane was a little sloppy in this match, but as is to be expected, he probably gets a pass on it. I thought he almost broke AJ's neck at one point. And he took the Styles Clash wrong. He didn't get that other arm through, and that could have killed him as well.
Jesus.
So a little sloppy. Again, it is what we expected. Shane hit his signature top rope elbow to the table, which he missed and went through. So
Oops.
He also missed a shooting star press, which is impressive on its own. So I think Shane actually looks better as an athlete today than he did when he was younger. He was a little doughy back in the day. Now he's lean and mean. AJ Styles did his job, and there you go. Again, I still don't think this match did anything for AJ Ford. They didn't have an opponent for him because they wanted to bring in Shawn Michaels to face AJ Styles. And Shawn Michaels did not want to do it. So they legitimately did not have an opponent for AJ Styles for WrestleMania, which is sad.
Why would you bring in Finn Balor or Nakamura?
I mean, that's probably what I would have done. AJ Styles is going to answer an open challenge, and then you have the whole world guessing on who it's going to be, and it could have been anybody.
Right.
They decided not to go that direction for whatever reason. It could have been fucking Ty Dillinger for all I care. But just give AJ a credible match at WrestleMania. So next up, we had Kevin Owens, who defeated Chris Jericho. This is for the WWE United States Championship. As expected, in terms of this match, I thought this match was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Owens is awesome. Chris Jericho is awesome. So this match, awesome. Curious to see what they're going to do with Kevin Owens down the road. Obviously, Chris Jericho is going to be on hiatus for a while. We'll see if they rekindle that feud over the summer or early next year when Jericho decides to come back. Looks like Kevin Owens is going to be in a program either against Seth Rollins or Finn Balor coming up shortly. So we'll see where it goes from there. Next up, we had Bayley, who defeated Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, and Nia Jax. This was an okay match. Nothing offensive about it.
Yeah.
I like the way they eliminated Nia with all four of them kind of jumping, like dogpiling on top of her to get the pin. That was cute. Yeah, Charlotte Flair is super athletic. She's probably the most athletic woman in the history of women's wrestling.
Really?
Yeah. I think I can comfortably say that. Bayley got the win here, so I'm curious about where they're going to go moving forward with Bayley. With the Superstar Shakeup coming up shortly, we probably can see some new challengers for her. Would it be Alexa Bliss or some other woman from NXT or Asuka? Or we're not sure where they're going to go, but Bayley's the champ, ladies and gentlemen.
Quick side note: what is this Superstar Shakeup?
Not necessarily a draft,
Mm-hmm.
but the brands are going to have the ability to swap talent and trade. So, like, hey, we'll trade you AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, or something like that. Again, they didn't really do a great job of explaining it all that much. It just, people are going to be switching brands. Why not just do another draft? I don't know. And limit to like, oh, you can draft 3 guys each or something, which they may do.
Yeah.
Although we did get an appearance by Vince McMahon stating that because Stephanie is hurt, and we'll get into that. And we had the Hardy Boys, who defeated Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Cesaro, Sheamus, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass. Probably the loudest reaction of the evening. That wasn't a boo. We probably all should have saw this coming. I think we all thought it was going to be on the Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania, but it was kind of odd how they added the ladder match stipulation pretty late in the build for this match. As soon as they added the ladder match in that, we should have fucking saw it coming. And once the Hardy Boys lost the tag team champion, the Ring of Honor tag team champions, the Young Bucks, we also should have saw that coming as well. But glad to see the Hardys back. Whether or not they're going to be able to use their broken gimmick or what have you going forward, we will see on that. I know that's still either impending litigation or in litigation as we speak. I'm glad to have them back, and it goes to show you that once you leave the WWE, doesn't mean that you close that door forever.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, when you leave and come back, you're usually more over when you come back. So,
well, I think too is that anybody that can go off and then essentially find success and bring themselves back. It shows like what's his name there? Damian Sandow just got released or whatever. Is no longer with TNA.
Yeah.
And everyone when he left, everyone was like, "Oh man, he's gonna do great in TNA." He kind of just sputtered, and maybe he's a guy who can go to Japan and reinvent himself or do something because he was good.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad, but
well, it goes to show you who has passion for this and who doesn't. Like a Ryback who has been doing limited independent dates, but if they're not going to go back and kind of start from scratch and try to work their way back, do they really have a passion for the wrestling business, or was it just a cash grab for them? Now, for a guy like Sandow, developmental for fucking ages, like 6 or 7 years. He's someone who has passion, but he might be just burnt out. Maybe he needs to take some time off and then come back fresh.
Yeah.
At this point, because what these guys do, they try, because they're hot coming off of WWE, they try to make as much money on the indies right away while their name is still fresh and they're kind of fresh off TV. But sometimes you probably do need to take some time off. Maybe, redefine your body a little bit, change your look up, that kind of stuff. So up next, we had John Cena and Nikki Bella defeated The Miz and Maurice in the mixed tag team match.
See that coming?
Well, it was interesting because John Cena had no offense like the entire match. Like, it was just The Miz pounding on him, and then Cena win. Hulk Hogan's the end.
Yeah.
Hulks up and wins at the end, essentially. I think we called it. We did actually call it on this show that it was a good possibility that John Cena was going to propose to Nikki Bella after this match. So, listen back to our last show, or last two shows, and I think we pointed that out. So, I was right for a change because I'm never ever right. Looks like John Cena and Nikki Bella are going to be taking some time off. I think John has a new movie coming out. He has to do, I think, American Grit is his TV show. I believe Nikki has an injury, so she's going to be recovering. And the Miz is off and running with another feud. Most likely, looks like Nakamura will be his feud of choice moving forward.
Yeah.
I think Miz and Maurice carried Cena and Bella in this feud. I don't know. It was just weird to me. I didn't seem like John was into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my opinion, but he didn't seem that. It looked like he was wanting to leave. It was weird. I don't know. Next up, we had Seth Rollins, who defeated Triple H with Stephanie. Really good match overall. Again, with these guys in the ring, you're not going to really expect anything less at this point. I've moaned and cried about Stephanie McMahon, being a heel, but she's emasculating. And she's never going to take a bump. Well, I was wrong. She took a bump through the table in this match, although it was Triple H who gave her the bump by accident. But you can't have everything. And it looks like Stephanie's going to be out for a while.
Was it a good bump? I didn't see that.
Yeah. And basically, just straight off the apron through a table. Simple table spot. I don't expect her to go flying through the top of a cage like Vince or Shane would, but a good enough bump. Looks like Seth Rollins is either going to be in a feud with Samoa Joe or maybe with Kevin Owens moving forward. Either or of those options would be fantastic. Randy Orton defeated Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship. This match was weird, and they did a gimmick. They did a couple different gimmicks here. When Randy came out, they projected a snake onto the ramp. It looks like the snake was walking down underneath Randy's feet, so like the Viper coming down to the ring along with Randy Orton, which is weird. And they kept on doing this gimmick where Bray would go in his, spider position, and there'd be maggots in the ring. And I guess they just figured out how to use this technology, so they're using it a lot in this match. Had worms and crickets and roaches.
The image of him?
Yeah. They projected a video over the ring.
So kind of like if you go to the mall and there's kids stepping on the ground under a light show?
Yeah, sort of, but it was a legit video. It was not animated whatsoever. So I think that really kind of hurt the overall feel for the match, though. And it kind of really broke it up. So Randy Orton does get the win over Bray for the WWE Championship. Up next, we had Brock Lesnar, who defeated Goldberg for the WWE Universal Championship. Now, I said on this program on numerous occasions that Goldberg was not going to take those Germans from Brock Lesnar. And I was wrong. He fucking took 10 of them. So good for you, Goldberg. Goldberg had no offense other than a spear. He used that 6 or 7 times. Yeah, so that was that. Brock Lesnar wins with the F5. Say goodbye to Goldberg. He had a good run, but I think he was running his course, and I think the fans began to turn on him anyway. So
yeah, he just was bye.
We were not hot on Goldberg from Jump Street. You go back and watch some of our earlier videos. And up next, we had Naomi, who defeated Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Mickie James, Natalya, and Becky Lynch to win the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. It was a pretty good match. It was short. It was only 5 minutes. But it looks like they were running late in time because this shit was 7 fucking hours long. But nice to see Naomi get the win here at the front of her hometown. If she didn't get injured, she'd probably be walking the champion. And I doubt if she was walking the champion, she'd be walking out the champion. But nice to see Naomi with the win here. Good enough match. Perfectly acceptable wrestling. I read that somewhere, so I won't use that term. And then in the main event, we had Roman Reigns, who defeated The Undertaker in a no-holds-barred match, which they just announced that was no-holds-barred that night, because I don't remember any step before that. The match was sloppy, to say the least.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns botched a tombstone piledriver, which is never any good. He fucked up a bunch of fucking... Roman was sloppy in this match. He looks nervous. Like, he botched a couple of Superman punches, and it was just a sloppy work. And Undertaker needs to be carried, due to his age. And I think the work around the match was sloppy. Roman gets the win here, was to be expected. And then Undertaker takes his hat, his glove, and his jacket off and leaves it in the ring. I'm assuming that signifies that he's retiring, and this would be his last match. If it is his last match, I'm glad that he went on last. Not super hot on the person he decided to have that last match with, but we'll get more into that as the show progresses. What are your thoughts on The Undertaker retiring?
About time. I mean, he's a good guy, but he probably should have wrestled his last match against, I think it was Triple H, where him and Michaels and they all walk together. That should have been the end. I mean, he was last strong at way too long.
For a while now, too, for at least 4 years.
And the problem you had is you should have had these, last year versus Shane, it was like a last month and a half twist. Like, guy like that, you don't just have leaving it hanging in the wind. You have him have a 6-month or 3-month build-up where you know what's coming.
Right.
And that was a waste. And I think Roman Reigns is more a matter of, we want to give this last match to somebody that's going to be able to build off it. It's not like the whole, when he first lost to Lesnar.
Right.
So the same idea. So I feel like if you're going to make the most of it, that's fine. But I really do feel like he should have retired a couple of years back. And, I know fans were like, oh, man, the poor guy could barely walk.
He needed hip surgery and was putting it off.
Yeah.
So for someone who is going to get hip surgery in about a month or so, you don't understand how much that fucking hurts and how much of a warrior this guy is. Didn't do a whole lot. Like, he didn't do old school. He didn't do the fucking dive out to the floor. But, the guy has a fucking busted up hip. What do you expect?
Walk on the top rope?
Nope.
What?
Nope.
Man, what a jip.
Like, the match, if you just forget that it's Roman Reigns and The Undertaker and it's like two dudes having a match, it wasn't a good match. Like, I think the finish was supposed to be Undertaker with the tombstone. Roman reverses it, hits the tombstone 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. But Roman botched the tombstone, so they had to go into an alternate finish, which took another 6 or 7 minutes, I felt like.
Really? What did he drop him, or?
I think he did a couple of Superman punches and maybe a spear. I forget the exact finish. But that being said, if you want people to forget that Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker and he was in the main event, having The Undertaker retire right there on the spot is the way to kind of... he sent everyone home with like, oh, that's the moment of WrestleMania. There's Undertaker leaving, not Roman Reigns getting booed out of the building. Which we'll get into that more as we progress. So overall, this show was a perfectly acceptable wrestling. Nothing offensive here. Yeah, average.
What was the worst match, you think?
Worst match, probably Reigns and Undertaker. Best match, Neville and Aries or Owens and Jericho. Like, everything else was pretty gimmicked up. Like, even Seth Rollins and Triple H. Again, Seth is with that injury, right? So we don't get the typical Seth Rollins match out of him.
Yeah.
Because he has, he's selling the injury. No, other than the Hardy Boys, no other big surprises. Again, I'm not a big fan of the musical act in the middle of the show, because that just makes us so longer, which it doesn't need to be any longer. Like watching Pitbull and whoever the fuck else they had there. That's not interesting to me. Now, if the WWE, if they pay the WWE to be on that, then it makes sense for the WWE to do it.
Right.
Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense unless... I don't think any of the 70-something thousand people were there to see those guys perform.
Well, to me, it's sort of like Super Bowl.
That's what they're trying to be.
You bring in some random act to draw in, just go to your fans. Don't worry about the casual fans. It's a waste. It's an utter waste.
And it's not is Pitbull a tier 1 star? Like, is he like in the same tier as like a Lady Gaga? And then on the Raw post WrestleMania, I guess the first thing we have to talk about is Roman's reaction at Raw, and then he got boos for several minutes with either delete, fuck you Roman, you suck, asshole Roman suck, shut the fuck up and go away.
Yep.
Roman's responses was this is my yard now.
Yeah.
And we'll get.
I
want to get into this real quick.
Sure.
There's people online. There's two things I want to talk about. There's people online there's fans online who tell other fans they don't get it. They're ripping people who are ripping Roman Reigns. That's wrong, and here's why. I hate to break it to fucking everybody here, but Roman's a heel, and he's been a heel for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
I know it's shocking. It's a fucking surprise, but he's a heel.
Yeah.
So telling other fans that their hatred of Roman Reigns is ridiculous is wrong, because they're supposed to hate Roman because Roman's a heel. He's been in the heel for quite a while. I want everyone to take the wrestling logic, everything they've been taught about wrestling, everything they know about wrestling, and throw that fucking shit out the fucking window. We are currently in an era where heels get no heat. Your heels are getting cheered. The Miz is getting cheered. Kevin Owens is getting cheered. AJ Styles is getting cheered. Those are supposed to be your fucking heels.
Right.
Okay. So what the WWE is doing, I think I just figured this out. Roman's getting heat. We're gonna do everything. We're gonna do everything in our power to make sure that he keeps on getting heat, because people are gonna want to pay to watch him get beat up.
Right.
I think that's legitimate. And the moment they turn him into a traditional heel is the moment he loses his heat.
Yeah.
So they're going to keep it going. Like, I cannot believe, it's impossible to me, that the WWE is so tone deaf that they're going to continue to push this guy as a traditional babyface when the crowd is reacting like that. The vitriol and the reception he's getting is anything worse than Lex Luger. It's worse than Bob Backlund. Both who got shoved down their throats.
Yeah.
So, I believe that the WWE sees him as a heel. He's a heel. And they're going to book him as a babyface. And they're going to do everything they pour more and more heat on this guy. You never know. He might win both belts the same night. How far are you going to push it? How much, we're going to try to get them to riot type shit. Oh, I'm going to beat AJ Styles, Finn Balor the same night. It's fucking heat. Yeah. Now, you can only push that to a degree, and then at some point, they're not going to want to watch him anymore. That's when he has to start losing. But like Kevin Sullivan says, heat is like a hot air balloon. And you want the hot air balloon to rise as high as you can get it before you start taking the heat out of it. Because the higher the balloon is, when you turn off the heat, the longer it's going to take to hit the ground again. And I think that's what they're doing with Reigns right now. He's a heel. I don't know how they explain it to everyone else. It's probably the easiest explanation. So if you get mad at anti-Roman Reigns people, who the fuck's the mark? I think it's you. Don't give me oh, he's getting a reaction. I don't want to hear that dumb shit. I don't want to hear that dumb shit. Because it's the wrong reaction for a traditional babyface. It's like Jim Neidhart and Virgil. Everyone's seen that video clip. They do a thing where fucking Jim Neidhart beats up Virgil and he's dressed like the fucking KKK. If the fans would have cheered Jim Neidhart in that scenario, that's the wrong type of fucking reaction.
Right.
Right? Okay. This is not the wrong fucking reaction. This is actually the correct reaction for the way they're booking him, and they're doing this on purpose. And if you guys can't see that at this point, I don't know what to tell you guys. They're putting heat on this guy. Even the stuff at the Rumble, having him come in 30, like the way they did, you put more heat on him.
Yeah.
He's the only one that's getting heat right now. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on that?
I like that. I think the thing you do is you flip the script and you use him to make somebody else a favorite, It's got to be that impossible mountain to climb, and I think it's one of those things that forcing someone down our throats isn't the way to do it necessarily, because that doesn't always work, how many tag teams or gimmicks have we seen that obviously Vince chuckled over and went, "That's great," and went with, and then we all went, ugh. I think Roman Reigns has, put a lot of work in, and outside of a few bad matches here and there, he's been pretty consistent mostly. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I would say, it's difficult to say because I think in some ways you should be able to have some traditional roles, but I think the problem they have is they don't present them in traditional ways anymore. Like that.
I think the fans are smarter now. They like who they like. So if AJ Styles is the heel, like what does he have to do to get people to boo him? He's so fucking good in the ring. Other than being less good in the ring. Kevin Owens, The Miz. You're in love with The Miz.
He's fun.
That's what I'm saying. Do you want to make him less fun? Or is The Miz, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens your new baby faces? Tastes have changed. Fans have changed.
I think AJ Styles is going to be, a face.
Well, if they have him come out and be the smiling, goody two-shoes fucking babyface, that shit ain't gonna fucking work neither. They're gonna fucking boo him.
Yeah.
Okay. The roles are reversed.
Well, Randy Orton's got the belt now. Randy Orton, he's not a good guy.
I don't even know what the fuck he is.
Yeah.
When it comes to Randy, I don't think he was as popular as, say, Cena. Or if you want, insert top guy here.
Right.
I don't know. Is Bray Wyatt a traditional babyface by any stretch of the imagination? I don't think so. So it's curious about how they're going to book going forward because I think it's going to change. And I think you'll see tweeners, guys who are considered gray, and those roles kind of disappear and the fans are just going to pick who they like. And now it's up to the writing staff to figure out, okay, they don't like this guy, but they like this guy. Let's put them in the match together and see what happens. Instead of saying, I'm a good guy, oh, I'm a bad guy, blah, 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 blah. I think they got to figure out what they want to do there. Or they're going to have two guys in a match that people both like and people just want to see the matches. Like, everyone wants to see a Finn Balor versus AJ Styles match. So you're going to put them together. You don't need an angle necessarily there because people just want to see them fight. So up next on Raw, we had Brock Lesnar who came out with Paul Heyman, and Heyman declared that Goldberg will not be seen again and they will turn their attention to Roman Reigns, and he teased the match between the two. Since Lesnar was the only other person to defeat Undertaker at WrestleMania. Braun Strowman came out, blah, blah, blah. So it looks like they're doing Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. And they're probably going to save Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for SummerSlam.
Makes sense.
After the show, Goldberg did appear on the Raw Talk, and he addressed the live crowd, stating his match with Lesnar may have been his last, but hinted that he might make a return at some point down the road. Never say never type deal. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson had a rematch with the Hardy Boys, and the Hardys retained that. Sheamus and Cesaro defeated Enzo Amore and Big Cass to become the new #1 contenders for the tag team titles. And then New Day issued an open challenge, which was accepted by the Revivals, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, who made a debut by answering that challenge. Nice to see the Revival on Raw, because I think they're awesome, and that's going to be a shot in the arm for the tag team division.
Cool.
So it was announced that Chris Jericho would have his rematch against Kevin Owens for the United States Championship at Payback, but it was Chris Jericho who was originally scheduled to team with Seth Rollins to face Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, but Jericho was attacked backstage by Owens and Joe, rendering him unable to compete. And then Rollins' tag team partner was replaced by the returning Finn Balor. They defeated Owens and Joe. So a nice little twist, and that's a good way to write Jericho off of television. And then in the women's division, we had Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Dana Brooke, who they teamed up and defeated Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, and Emma, who made her made her debut, her re-debut, or her return. Who the fuck cares? Moving on, we had Only Lochran, who made his main roster debut. He was defeated by Rich Swann. And then we had Vince McMahon come out and say that Stephanie will be off television because she's injured, and because of her injury, because she was injured crashing through that table. And then he installed a new general manager, which would be Kurt Angle. And then he also announced there'd be a draft of some sort the following week. It will be a superstar shakeup. So, again, we don't know what that means exactly. So Raw after WrestleMania, loud as shit. A similar reaction to we get the Raw after every WrestleMania. The show was okay, moved everything along nicely, moved everything forward, so that was good to see. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I always think the Raw, any pay-per-view Raw or post pay-per-view show is always kind of hotter, depending on the audience too. I mean, where you're at. But I liked it. I mean, they brought guys in and they made it work. I do think that there's a lot of work to be done. Again, where does Reigns go from here? Because if he's not really quote unquote answering the challenge, who's he going after?
Right.
What's the program? Is it going to be him and I don't know, tag match? I don't know. Something.
Well, wait till after the Superstar shakeup. We'll maybe figure out. We'll have a better idea. Maybe they're bringing someone over.
Right.
Because it's not clear about who's going to, who he will be facing at Payback. So it could be Kurt Angle. Nah, it's good. On SmackDown Live, which is a weird name. I feel like I'm the only. I love SmackDown, the show. It's probably my favorite wrestling show currently. I don't think it should be called SmackDown anymore. They should probably change the name of that show.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just from a personal preference. SmackDown Live. That's what I think about that. Newly crowned WWE Champion Randy Orton was challenged to a House of Horrors match by Bray Wyatt, which was accepted. Afterwards, Orton and Bray brawled for a little bit. And then Eric Rowan returned to help Bray Wyatt. And then Luke Harper came out to help Orton. So they walk into SmackDown without a main event, but they have one now, folks. We have Orton and Harper teaming up to face Wyatt and Rowan in a tag team match, and Orton and Harper get the win here. The Miz and Maurice came out and responded to John Cena's proposal to Nikki Bella. They did state that the only reason that John Cena proposed is because they called him out on it. And they came out dressed up as Cena and Nikki, and they were mocking the fact that they're going to take time off post-WrestleMania, and they were leaving the fans once again to go to Hollywood. All of a sudden, they were interrupted by Nakamura. So it looks like they're setting up a Miz-Nakamura feud going forward. Hopefully, Shinsuke does not break the Miz's face like he did to Austin Aries. In the women's division, we had Alexa Bliss get her rematch for the SmackDown Women's Championship, but Naomi did defeat her in that. In the 9-title rematch, we had Baron Corbin defeated the Intercontinental Champion Dean Ambrose in a street fight. Kurt Hawkins issued an open challenge that was answered by Ty Dillinger. Made his debut on this episode of SmackDown, who defeated Kurt Hawkins. We also had SmackDown Commissioner Shane McMahon. He came out to address the Superstar shakeup. He was interrupted by AJ Styles, and he said he wanted to stay on SmackDown, and then he shook Shane's hand, and he did the fake punch thing, and to see if Shane would flinch, and he did, and there you go there. They're off and running for that. So since SmackDown has a little bit more time until their next pay-per-view, they do have a little bit more time to kind of develop this stuff. What are your thoughts on this SmackDown?
I think it was a good. I generally think SmackDown was better than Raw, anyways, but I liked it. Someone has said they're going to set the King of Hard hard style versus King of Soft style. I would say if it's Miz versus Nakamura, just make it work somehow.
Yeah.
Make it work. Because again, Miz needs someone to work off of, and I always feel like he could be doing so much more, but it's just no one really keeping up with him. Even Cena seemed to be kind of like, yeah, let's just get through with this. But
yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, perfectly acceptable wrestling. SmackDown. I think overall the WrestleMania weekend was awesome. We had the NXT show and all your auxiliary independent promotions around WrestleMania weekend, and I guess they said they brought in $100 million into the Orlando economy, which is really cool to see. Next year, I believe they're in New Orleans. So, again, kind of wish they did some more northern WrestleManias. Like, there's other fucking domes out there. You can always go back to Seattle if you really wanted to. You come back to New York as well. It's not a dome, but fuck. It was like fucking 65 degrees here in New York on WrestleMania Sunday, so. In other news, we had Simon Gotch of the Vaudevillains. He was released for the WWE, or quit, whatever, who cares. Was never really a big fan of him. He was over for a split second, and then not so much anymore. Hope you do better. I don't know. Whatever. So Matt, what do you thought on WrestleMania weekend, and are you excited about the upcoming SummerSlam over the summer? You think we're gonna have enough time in between to really get some cool stuff going on in between?
Well, yeah, I think it's a good experience. I would say this though. I think the problem with WrestleMania is there's just too much. It goes from being a show to an ordeal. I have a solution though. The solution is this. Don't make it a 1 day, 7 hour grueling event. Make it a 2 night event. Saturday.
What?
Yeah. Friday's your NXT show, the future. You have your Saturday and Sunday shows. The shows are shorter. The experiences are still there for people to take part, but the shows are like 2.5 hours each.
Are you proposing doing a SmackDown and Raw WrestleMania?
No, and here's why.
Oh,
Because you want to keep your viewers interested cross-promoting. That way, like, you have people come in and watch, let's say you have your Raw champion on one show, you get your SmackDown on the other. You could do, I suppose, a Raw brand WrestleMania, a SmackDown brand WrestleMania, but it really is too long. It's too much.
I find the entire weekend or week very exhausting. And this is for someone who watches wrestling every day. I remember going there, and I think I went to 6 independent shows, autograph signings, the whole thing, and it's great when you're there live. And from Friday to Monday, it was awesome. I went to the Raw after WrestleMania too. But that shit takes a toll on you, man.
Yeah.
And I can see a lot of people this week. That's why this will come out a week later, being burnt out on wrestling for a little bit after this.
Well, I think it should be a Hallmark show. It should be
a season finale, so to speak.
Right. But it shouldn't be like, because I always feel like if you did 2 shows, that would make it a bigger, those little rivalry. Oh man, those guys on Saturday night did a pretty good job. Oh, wait to see what we got, and you build it that way. And not necessarily that any show is quote unquote better than the other, because you both, you have a 2 night event. Just thinking outside here,
Other than the Battle Royal and the Roman Reigns Undertaker match, there was no cross promotion matches. There were no inter promotion matches at all. And I think the WWE has done such a lousy job with dream matches over the last like 5 years or so.
Yeah.
That they should be looking at WrestleMania as the Super Bowl, where you have, like in the Super Bowl, you have the AFC champion taking on the NFC champion. And I'm not saying that the WWE champion should take on the Universal champion, but fucking mix it up. Have your dream matches on that show. Like, we're not going to get Undertaker Sting. We're not going to get Undertaker John Cena now. And they've done such a shitty job with dream matches over, I would say, the last 5 years, but you can go as far back as Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan, or Steve Austin and Brock Lesnar from the earlier part of this millennia. To see a lot of missed opportunities there. You want to have, especially when these guys have been apart for 2 years, like this would be the opportunity to do your Finn Balor versus AJ Styles and have that on a WrestleMania. This is the only time you get to see this, folks, is on WrestleMania, because they're on different brands otherwise, and kind of move forward from there. I understand why they probably didn't do it this year, because they just had the draft not too long ago. So these guys haven't been apart for very long, but next year I do expect to have more SmackDown versus Raw match, and not a fucking 6-man or an 8-man. Those are gross. Now, you wouldn't eliminate any matches on WrestleMania. You would just split it into 2 nights.
Yeah, I would. I just think if you do it in smaller nuggets, and here's the thing too. You have to do the work for each show to be great, because the tickets are for 2 different shows. You have 2 different groups of people who can go.
Double the gate.
Right.
Or you can afford to do 2 smaller venues, because they've been doing domes forever at this point. But like us in New York, you in Boston, you're not going to get WrestleManias because you don't have a big enough venue there that has a dome on it.
Right. The entrances alone take so much extra time with the time it's a long ramp. Like just you know what? Just make it more bearable.
Yeah. Even with Raw being 3 hours, and we've bemoaned that on the show on a couple occasions that the show was too long. That WrestleMania was kind of rough to watch. Not that it was a bad show, just so guys. Our next show will be live from Puerto Rico. It will be the anniversary show. You will see Harley Race taking on Carlos Colon, and this will be for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So please tune into that. We'll talk about all types of goodies, and maybe someone will have a sex tape, and it'll be awesome.
There you go. Bing, bing, bing.
All right. So for Matt Riley, I'm Lex G.